Evolution of an action sequence from rehearsal to final. Basically, when doing this action sequence for Broken, I wanted to do as much rehearsal as humanly possible. I had never shot an action sequence myself, and the actors and performers that I had with me had never done so either. So none of us really had a lot of stunt experience. A couple of the actors had done some stage combat and things like that, but no one had really done anything to the level that we were attempting to do. So I wanted to make sure that we had as much time as possible to break everything down, work through things, walk through things, come up with new ideas. I was very open to everyone's ideas. Me and George essentially choreographed most of the action sequence, but during rehearsals we discovered a lot of cool ideas from the different from actors and the different cast members. They came up with ideas of like, hey, why don't I do this? They said, why doesn't my character do this? And it'd be cool if he did that. And that was all cool. And then once these great ideas would come up, then we'd figure out a way to how to make them happen and how to make them happen safely, which is another major thing I was concerned about. I didn't want to have anybody get hurt doing a film. Doing my film or anybody's film. So I wanted to at least rehearse a lot of it so everyone felt really comfortable by the time they ever got on set. So, and essentially, since we had such a low budget and such little time to shoot the action sequence, I knew that we wouldn't have time to be on set trying to figure a lot of this stuff out. We would have never, ever been able to shoot this action sequence if we would have done that. So by the time that we actually got onto set, we knew everything inside and out. There was just minor little tweaks here and there, but everyone came in, got out, and moved along very quickly, and everyone did it very safely, and it worked out really well. The one other thing that I really insisted upon is that we'd hopefully find someone who could be a technical advisor on our film, and Tony Gomez right there is a ex-narcotics officer from New York, and he wanted to do it and offered us his technical advising talents, and basically went through gun safety with everybody. We were using airsoft guns, which are essentially BB guns, but they were all live guns, and they did shoot BBs, and they were gas powered. And I wanted to make sure that everybody knew how to hold the gun and were safe with it. And basically, like a lot of times when we first picked up the guns, we started shooting them, and our wrists were like, bing, ding, 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 all over the place. But Tony was basically, no, you rip your wrist off if you shot a gun like that. So he showed us a lot of the technical aspects of how to shoot a gun, how to hold a gun, how to look like you know what you're doing, which was extremely important, as well as going through safety classes on how to hold a gun and not shoot it at anybody. How to respect guns, even though they weren't real guns, but still respecting them and working a lot of those details out. And Tony was invaluable, not only for safety issues, but just getting the realism. The things that I had no idea about holding a gun and using it, really just took it to a whole new level. What me and George were really insistent upon is basically we're film geeks and movie geeks, so we wanted, if we're going to do an action movie, we want cool guns, we want cool weaponry, things like that. And basically, we went out to the flea market and picked up a lot of cool weapons like that sword cane that Snake is holding right there, Jose's holding. Basically, we found there for like $5, and we got Duncan's pepper box gun, which is basically a replica of a it must have been 1800s or 1700s gun. On eBay for like $15, and it worked. It actually like moved and stuff, but it never could fire. But it gave the scene and gave his character a lot more depth and just something cool, And we wanted to do the same thing with the guns. Here we go through the final run through before we shoot. And basically a lot of things that we went through in rehearsal, once we got to the location, we noticed that it was just not able to be done. Also, a lot of things that we came up with in rehearsal, we thought we were going to be able to do in post-production, but really just were not able to, or didn't have the time to, or money to, or expertise to. Like originally the sword, instead of being stuck in the wood like it is in the action sequence, is caught by Christian and swung back right at Jose, and then he's stuck to the wall. That would have been something that we just couldn't do. So as you see there, he's catching it and throwing it back, and it was just too complicated, so we simplified it a lot. We also did a lot of rehearsals with having Bonnie more in the action sequence, having her being used as a shield and flinging her around and stuff, and we just noticed that the wheelchair was not taking it real well. That's an original late 1800s wheelchair, and we decided to ixnay all that and just simplify it a lot more. And it worked out great. And again, I can't express upon you guys enough that rehearsal is just such a key point in any type of independent film, but let alone if you're going to do action. Rehearse, 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 because you get these actors who aren't really experienced doing this kind of stuff. It gives them the confidence to carry out their final moves and in a safe manner, and they feel like it's secondhand, it's second nature at this point, and that's exactly where I wanted to be before we ever shot or ever went onto set. Behind the scenes of the action sequence as we shot it. Basically, the action sequence lasted about a minute and a half, if I'm not mistaken, in the final film. Many people think, we've heard people say, wow, there's about 10 minutes of action in there. It really wasn't. There was only about a minute and a half. But that minute and a half took us about, I would say about 2.5 to 3 days of our 5-day shoot was working around this action sequence and making it happen. Here's a little bit of a look of each character as they go down. That light right there that Marquez is going to turn on, that light didn't work. That was an old beat up light that we actually shoved a light bulb in and just turned on as she went through. And that's the actual final effect plate that Sean Falcon, our visual effects supervisor, got, and he did that amazing explosion. The one thing that you got to look into when doing an action sequence, and what will make any action sequence look a lot more real, is combining practical effects with special effects or visual effects. A lot of things that we did, like at the beginning of this segment, you saw Yukio going down, and you saw a little bit of a blood tear come down from his eye as the digital bullet went in. Those combinations of practical and visual effects sell it so much more. Here, Tony coming out here, if you'll see on one of the takes, he was shooting out and the blowback was actually coming out of the gun. The gas was coming out of the gun. So when we actually did all the compositing and the visual effects and compositing in post-production, it looks so much more real. Here you see Marquez has nothing. We have nothing practical here to work with at all. But her explosion is a beautiful marriage of practical and visual effects. Practically, we shot it with the guacamole gun, blew a big hole in the back of her head with this goog of blood, and then did a camera shake in post-production to give it a much more violent feel. And then as she falls down, Sean Falcon actually gave us a 3D blood spurts coming out of the back of her head as like a little final touch that not many people see, but your eye does catch it when you're watching it, and it kind of sells the piece. So again, as you can see me there, I'm coming along with some crazy camera angles. I love that little thing. I learned about getting this little like car dolly, I guess it's called. I got it over at the local auto parts store, and Robert Rodriguez used a lot of it in From Dusk Till Dawn. I saw in one of his documentaries, and I was like, wow, that looks great. I'm going to get a couple shots with that. When you guys are doing a action sequence, be safe and just do a lot of pre-planning, as much pre-planning as you can, and you can come out with some really cool stuff. Do some combinations of practical and visual effects and some good sound design and some nice music, and you come out with some good stuff. Here's the final action sequence. Take a look.
And now that I've seen it,
Buy your movie today. Arzura.com.